definitely something that I know a lot of you guys that have seen me train throughout the years. I don't train very often because I was always trying to balance my physique with shoulders and upper chest. But I wanted to show you guys a little different variation of what I have done over the past few years and work on some guns, man. We just did a couple warm-up sets with single arm. So I'm gonna do both arms, but what we're gonna do is usually around 8 to 12 repetitions, but more importantly is how we're gonna do these repetitions. The biggest thing that I want you guys to understand is the way I train is more instinctive, but also with purpose, given the right amount of pump and contraction. A lot of guys have this sense of wanting to go in the gym and go smash all the weights, but you have to have a controlled aggression and being able to feel the muscle all the way through, not both positive and negative. And that's what you're gonna see. And I'm still lean enough to where you can actually see the fibers kind of move and activate. For arms, they're not like legs where you want a little bit longer resting period. So I'm usually going in between 1 and 2 minutes. And that's a real 1 and 2 minutes. And a lot of people say, yeah, rest in between 1 and 2 minutes. No, you ain't. You're on your phone, updating your Facebook and doing an extra playlist and all this other stuff. Maybe taking a damn selfie in the mirror. Next thing you know, 5 minutes later, it goes by and then you lost your pump. No, this is a lot different. Utilizing what's in front of me with the supplements that I'm taking, like with Accelerate and Built. In order to get its full effectiveness, you gotta push yourself. So I'm gonna come up here and hold it, and we're gonna do 5 just like this. Then we're gonna do 5 fast ones. All right, so here we are over the dumbbell rack. You know what time that is. Concentration curl time, but not seated. I'm gonna do a variation that we saw over in Pump and Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger, how he would do them standing up and just hunched over a little bit. So I've been incorporating that for years and it's definitely developed some good peak contractions on my biceps. So what we're gonna do is grab the dumbbells, point always like in an L shape, and that's what we're gonna form. We're gonna form a nice L right here. When I didn't do arms as frequent, even if I would go light on the weight, the muscles weren't being activated. So imagine doing 315 underhand barbell rolls and this is weak. You're gonna snap that. First exercise is usually where I get a couple warm-ups in, then I go straight into working sets, and then on to the next one. I'm gonna jump right into some alternating dumbbell curls. But what I normally do is do all one arm at once, and primarily that's because I want the constant tension for that period of time instead of resting in between by doing one after the other. I'm not doing uppercuts here, guys. I'm not doing shoulders or back. I'm trying to really just stay focused right here. So one good tip about arms, if you have one that's shaped or smaller than the other, you can always increase the repetitions on that side. There's really no identical biceps out there. Remember, I was talking to Lou Ferrigno about that one time. He was asking me, are both the same? And I was like, no. He goes, yeah. It's like same with me, same with Arnold, same with a lot of those guys. Because you're always going to favor one side over the other. So now we're done with the biceps. Now it's time for tries, guys. So here we are over at the rope doing some pull downs. I normally like doing this. I think this is probably the most fan favorite exercise to start your tricep workout. Pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna pull all the way down and get a full contraction. We're gonna twist just a little bit. We're not gonna take the rope though and just come here and then do one of these. That's kind of like short-changing it up a little bit. We're gonna start here and actually come here, all right? Usually isolation starts with foot placement, good balance, and where your back is against this pad. If you're too busy hunched over like this, you're gonna be pressing down like this. I just don't understand it. You're starting to get more of your pecs involved too, which we're not doing pec day. That was Monday. I like to throw this in normally at the end, but given the gym atmosphere tonight, I wanted to get this in the middle, and sometimes it's always good to change up the order of the actual workout that you have been doing. A lot of guys will try to change up the specific exercises, try to shock the body. Well, maybe try those same exercises you normally do on a daily basis, weekly basis, and then switch the order up. So instead of doing dips first or last, do them in the middle. That's what we're doing right here. All about muscle activation, guys. I mean, if the muscle's not activating, there's a lot of different problems. I mean, it could be, through a neck injury, back injury, etc. A lot of things happen to do with your misalignment. I carry a lot more muscle than I did when I was younger. So for carbs, I usually can do like some type of potato or white rice. I like the traditional meal, to be honest. But when I'm traveling like this and I'm going in and out, I'll just throw in some whey and then, some creatine, and then I'll eat like 40 minutes later because I want to make sure I'm getting a lot of aminos and protein in right after I train. And I'd rather just eat my carbs, I know a lot of guys like talk about carb powders and this and that, but I personally, at this point in time in my career, would rather get in the influx of aminos and proteins, creatine, glutamine, all that stuff, and then eat. Probably because I'm always hungry. All right, guys, here we are in the kitchen. I just wanted to go over some of the meals that I am currently eating here for the contest. First off is my egg whites. I usually get about 2.5 cups. It's roughly around 60, 70 grams of protein. And I accompany that with a cup of rolled oats or a cup of Ezekiel cereal. I'll switch back and forth with these two. The cereal is a little bit different for this prep because it has almonds and stuff, and I've been trying to get in a little bit more fats, but it's so dense that it has actually more carbs per cup than the oats. Usually I have a hard time getting in carbs, but eating cereal, I mean, it's pretty simple, so I usually switch that up if my trainer wants me to get in more. So a cup of the Ezekiel cereal is usually around 75 grams of carbs, whereas a cup of the rolled oats is about 60, 64 grams. So I switch back and forth, like I said, accordingly. Next would be one of my least but yet most favorite is tilapia and yams. I do a lot of fish. I know a lot of people have been following me on Flex online, and I do a ton of fish like toward the middle throughout the end of the prep. Normally up to 5 times a day, but right now I'm only doing it once. The fish really helps with, really thinning out the skin, and it's a lighter protein, so you can actually eat there's been times where I've eaten up to a pound a day, but normally I'm getting around 12 ounces, and that's cooked weight, so roughly about 14 ounces. But with this, the yam, I started incorporating that a couple years ago during my carb up process, and I noticed that it keeps me really, really full. So I started using that just at the beginning of the diet because I noticed that the minute I start dieting, I start losing a lot of weight really fast, and this kind of keeps me, fuller longer. So especially during heavy back and leg days, I'll be eating this at least a couple times. So right now I'm doing just the egg whites and at least this meal once or twice a day. All right, going on, we have steak and rice. I'm getting in, this is just 12 ounces of cooked steak with 2 cups of white rice. I'm doing white rice right now because Honey lets me, but also it allows me to stay fuller, just like the sweet potato. Sometimes I'll actually take half of the sweet potato and half of the rice and combine them, and that just gives me a little bit of different texture and whatnot. So the steak is really good for, you know, upping like my creatine and natural growth hormones and stuff like that, but inducing like more testosterone production. So I'll usually have this either before or right after I train, like post-workout, after I do a shake or something, like usually about 60 to 90 minutes after I do a post-workout shake. I try to get this meal in, this particular one. Usually if I'm training during the day, I usually get this about meal 3 or 4, and then I'll do it again. Right now I'm doing 2 steak meals, so usually like the 3rd or 4th meal and then like the 7th meal. And I'll do that 7th meal without any carbs. I'll just do it with veggies. And that's another thing. I don't really eat a whole lot of veggies in my diet. I probably should, but I usually don't do it a lot until I start really reducing the carbs. That's just something I've always done. But if I do have any carbs, it's usually just broccoli and red peppers. Next would be all white meat chicken, again with white rice. Chicken is obviously is very high protein. You know, I've been doing it, gosh, since I've been bodybuilding really. And obviously Redbird Farms, my sponsor, they've been so kind enough to give me an abundance of, you know, chicken every week, usually roughly about 20 pounds. So getting in 12 ounces per meal isn't tough. So it's easy on the wallet as well. But I know a lot of people are probably wondering why don't I incorporate brown rice? Well, right now with this part of my prep, I don't really incorporate the brown rice usually until like toward the end, because it'll slow everything down and whatnot. But I like using white rice. I've just noticed that for my physique, I can metabolize it really quick, which is a blessing because sometimes brown rice gets a little boring. But I'll change it up here and there. Like I said, I can change it up I can do all brown rice. I could do like a mix where I could do like white rice and sweet potato like after I train. Just good insulin spike and all that stuff. But I play around with all these different meals throughout the prep normally. I might every now and again put in like a, you know, real extra lean turkey breast, ground turkey. But that's very rare because I don't really like it that much. I might throw like a little bit of it, like maybe 4 ounces with my egg whites just to up my protein a little bit if I'm reducing the carbs. And really the only other thing that I eat would be, I might spice things up a little bit, throw some avocado in with my fish, and do like all natural almond butter in between some of these meals, usually about 2 or 3 times a day, or just a handful of almonds 2 or 3 times a day. I actually weigh every meal. And, you know, that's really important because as a pro bodybuilder, you definitely are, you know, using a portion control system. And with that said, I use my food scale over there, and I weigh everything from carbs to proteins, fats, everything. I mean, I could weigh even soup on that thing. All I need to do is just type in a code and it does it for me. But even if I lose the code, I can easily just know that I need 12 ounces of cooked weight of pretty much all my proteins. So I just cook all my meals, and then I'll just portion them out that way. The good thing about the chicken is that it's already pre-weighed, you know, it's already trimmed and weighed out for me by Redbird Farms, so I don't have a problem with that. It's just like the steak, you know, usually you can go to your, like for me, I usually go to like Whole Foods or a butcher, and I'll ask for them to cut them accordingly, but sometimes it doesn't come out right. So I just cook usually like 2 or 3 steaks at a time, and then I'll just spruce it up, because there's times where I may reduce the protein because I'm increasing the carbs, or vice versa because of how I'm looking during the prep. So that's really helpful as to be able to give me a gauge as to what's going on. And it also helps my trainer, Honey Rambod, out when he'll ask, so how many grams of carbs, how many grams of protein, you know, are you weighing your food correctly? Well, I'll tell him, and then he'll make the changes accordingly. So every bodybuilder, or anyone really that's trying to really get gains inside and outside the gym, should have a food scale. I don't care if you are trying to be a pro bodybuilder or not. Every person that wants to eat healthy should have a food scale, no matter what. And also, for more details about all the meals that you just seen and the meals that I usually have during the prep, you can look into the diet log in the DVD.